and she's very beautiful as well. I knew that straight when I saw her. Straight away, I was like, "Wow, okay." Yeah.
So, welcome back to another Chatterbox movie review. I'm Sean, and today we will be reviewing Hindi blockbuster URI Surgical Strike, which revolves around a surgical strike executed by the Indian Army on suspected militants who attacked an army base in URI, Jammu and Kashmir in 2016. The film was directed by Aditya Dar and stars Vicky Kaushal, Mohit Raina, and Yami Gautam, to name a few. Now, before we start, let me just quickly introduce the panel today. And as you know, we've got the lovely Joyce that's with us today. So, how are you doing, Joyce? You ready for this review?
Good. Yes, I'm all excited.
Yeah. Nice. Good to have you. I'm excited to hear what you think about this one. And obviously, we've also got, the one and only, the specialist, the ladies love. What are you saying?
Yo, all good.
Nice. Now, let's not waste any time and jump right in. Was this a hit or was this a miss for you?
For me, it was a 100% hit. It had everything I wanted. It had drama, intensity. It had action. It was action-packed. It had thrill in it. The background score was mind-blowing. Like, I literally had to put it on my playlist ASAP. So for me, it hooked me right from the start to the end. So I was on the edge of my seat throughout the movie.
Yeah, it was a hit for me. Like, strong performances, a really solid movie. So yeah, hit.
Nice. I think we got 3 hits there because I definitely enjoyed this one too. So yeah, I'm definitely waiting to hear what you guys have to say about the rest. The structure of the film was built using chapters to tell the story. What are your thoughts on the screenplay and the pace of the film?
I thought the pacing was good, to be honest. It went like that for me. Like, it didn't drag for me. Screenplay was good. Like, it was paced nicely actually, and I liked what they did with the chapters as well. That's cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. Definitely unique. Haven't really seen it stretched out that much before chapter wise. So yeah, that was interesting the way that they took that approach. What about you, Joyce? What did you think?
For me, like the first half of the film, I felt like it was predictable, obviously, because they focused on the URI attack. So though it was predictable, it was still, don't get me wrong, it was still extremely satisfying to watch the events unfold. But I felt like the screenplay got tighter in the second half, like with all of the, the climatic sequences and like the towards the end when you have the choreographed sequence with the hand-to-hand combat sequences and the helicopter sequences. Those were like so well choreographed. And I think so towards the end, it definitely got tighter, the screenplay. And the pacing of the film, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, there were bits which probably could have been cut off, but it was fine. I was engaged throughout the film.
Also, I did forget to say, in terms of the screenplay, it's not a perfect movie, but it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
And I'll get back into why it's not perfect, but yeah, really good.
There were some great characters, some of which were performed by Vicky Kaushal, who played Major Vihan Singh Sergil, Mohit Raina, who played Major Karan Kashyap, and Yami Gautam, who played Pallavi Sharma. Which character was your favorite and whose performance stood out for you?
All right, you know what? There were lots of good performances that I really enjoyed, but I'm just going to be obvious with Vicky Kaushal. I think he was excellent in what he did because he had so much stuff to do in the movie. it was his movie, and he had so much stuff to do. Like he had to be angry, he had to be sad, he had to be empathetic. It was beautiful, beautiful acting from him, and he had some good scenes with his mother, which stood out for me because I just love that kind of relationship because I have a great relationship with my mother. So watching that was really, really sad, like to see that his mum's going through Alzheimer's and how he has to deal with that as well. But I just think he gave a phenomenal performance. But I will just sneakily say, what was her name? Her name, who played the nurse, who turned out to be
Yami Gautam.
Yami Gautam, who turned out to be an agent. I think
Yeah.
that was beautiful as well. I think she was really good. She stood out for me, like in her acting as well. Especially that little scene where he says, "You're not, you're an awful nurse," like, and then she switches. I love that scene as well, and she's very beautiful as well. I knew that straight when I saw her. Straight away, I was like, "Wow, okay." Yeah. So I got one more as well. Sorry, this is going along, but. The daughter, when dad died in the funeral, that scene was really good. And when she was doing the honor, I can't remember what it's called, honor cry,
the
like
war
that,
cry.
War cry. That was just excellent and powerful. That's it. Yeah.
You know what? As soon as I saw Yami, the first thing that crossed my mind is like, I bet ladies love's gonna like this one.
Love this one.
I knew. Yeah, what are you saying then, Joyce?
I think it's fairly obvious for me as well. Like Vicky Kaushal was definitely the one who stood out for me. Of course, like every single person, the supporting cast, everyone did a phenomenal job with their, even if they had like little bits, they all did like a phenomenal job. But of course, like, you know, for obvious reasons, Vicky Kaushal, I think his performance was so real and so grounding. And also, like, of course, he had to show masculinity and strength, which his character required, but at the same time he had to also portray vulnerability, and I think that mix of strength and vulnerability is not easy to play, but he did it so effortlessly. That was beautiful to watch, especially in that famous scene of the funeral where you can see him like in his uniform, like really looking crisp and sharp and, you know, all masculine, but then when the camera zooms into his face, you can see like him like all teary-eyed, and I think that shot was like perfect to show the right blend of masculinity and vulnerability. And so I really enjoyed watching him. And the other person that I would say stood out for me was Mohit Rana. This was his Bollywood debut, so I think like even though he had like, you know, a small part in it, but I think he did such a great job portraying like a doting father and a brave soldier, and he is such a promising actor. I can't wait to watch more of him in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, you put some good obvious choices there, so I definitely agree with both of you on that. Now, URI's director, Aditya Dar, made his directorial debut with URI and won the Best Debut Director at the Filmfare Awards. Now, this was something I was unaware of due to the quality of the film, which really impressed me. But would you say this was an award-winning debut? And if so, why?
For me, I would say 100% absolutely. He deserves that award because I don't know if you know this, but he took only 12 days to write the script. He wrote this entire script in 12 days. And he was trying to make his debut as a director for over 10 years prior to this movie. But something or the other kept going wrong. But he never sort of gave up. He kept trying. And eventually he came up with this plot line. And he, you know, of course, after the URI attacks happened, he decided to make a movie on that. And he wrote the script in 12 days and things fell into place. And, you know, the fact that his first movie is a tribute to the Indian Army soldiers, because, you know, they, at the end of the day, they sacrifice their today for the safety of our tomorrow. And for him to have made his first movie as a tribute to those Indian Army soldiers, I think that was a great move. And bravo to him for, you know, sticking to his gut and kept trying over the 10 years and ended up with this movie. So I definitely think he deserves that award, and probably much more.
Yeah, but I think he doesn't just deserve it because it's a tribute. Because you can make I'm just saying, because you can make a tribute and make a bad movie.
Oh,
And
100%. Yeah.
He did not. He made a good movie. It's very well shot. The fighting scenes are great. The gunplay is excellent. Like the smaller moments with characters talking to each other is really good. It's a very well made movie. So I think he did deserve that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree there. When I read up on that and I found out that information, I was like gobsmacked. I was really impressed to find out that someone could do make such a good film on their debut.
On the
that
first.
was, well deserved, well deserved. Now, we've seen many military films over the years that were based on similar premises. But was there anything about this film that was unique in your opinion? And if so, why?
You know what? For me, does it have to be unique to be good? I don't think it. To me, it wasn't unique, but that doesn't make it a bad thing. It was a good, like I said earlier, it was a really good film. So I don't think it has to be unique. They done what they done really, really well. So when I was thinking about it, like no, I can't think of what was unique about it, but it was still very, very good. So yeah.
So for me, what stood out was the fact that, you know, the movie is sort of 2 hours and 18 minutes long, but it did not sort of digress into subplots simultaneously, because some of the movies, some of the war movies, they tend to do that with sort of showing your love interest and all of those things. Like this movie pretty much stuck to the Indian Armed Forces and how they sort of skillfully infiltrate to kill militants. And I was extremely glad that they just stuck to that and nothing else. So that was perfect for me. And also the other point was that Aditya Dhar portrayed women in armed forces, which of course women have jobs in armed forces, but they're not sort of shown a lot in movies in general. So I was very glad that he gave like roles to Yami Gautam and Kirti Kulhari, and those were sort of not just sort of a sidekick in the movie or just a love interest of the hero. They genuinely had substantial roles. I mean, they were obviously smaller roles, but at least he took a step in the right direction and showed women in armed forces. So I'm happy with that. So for me, that was definitely something that stood out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. It's definitely held its own, and he did a great job with this film. The film was said to have been shot across 3 locations in Serbia. In my opinion, they did a great job with the sets, the cinematography, and the special effects. But which one stood out for you the most?
That's an interesting question, because I don't know if I can choose, to be honest, because they were very well done. All those, they were all very well done. So I wouldn't really choose. And to be honest, what impressed me more is the actors and the acting that they did, and the writing for the most part. So yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I would have to, if I have to choose, of course, like, you know, whether it was the ambush in URI or whether it was the climax, which was so well designed and well choreographed, if I have to choose, I would definitely choose the climax, because I think like that scene is so well choreographed. Like it literally is so sort of, there's so much precision in that scene. It almost throws you in, like it almost gives you the feeling that you're in the middle of a battlefield yourself. So I really loved the way it was choreographed so beautifully. And of course, like, you know, whether it was the hand-to-hand combat sequences that they choreographed, or even like I said earlier, the helicopter combat sequences, it was just, for me, especially with the soundtrack in the background, that just sort of made it was so worthwhile watching that scene. I could watch it over and over again. So for me, that scene, if I have to choose, that would be the scene.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The URI surgical strike for me was amazing, that scene. Although I did like the scene in the beginning. I think it was
The ambush.
The Dogra Regiment convoy attack. I thought that one was really great
was
as
good.
well.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't do a Chatterbox review without asking the question: was there anything that you would have done different in this film?
Okay.
Pressure.
Should I go first? Okay. If I had to do anything differently, I'm literally nitpicking when I'm saying this, but I would probably have. I know, Andre, you love the scenes with Vihan and his mother, but if I had to do it differently, I would have probably cut down those scenes with. Let me just say why. Okay, let me just say why. I just feel like the sequences with Vihan and his mother suffering from Alzheimer's, I felt that sort of digressed like a bit from the actual plot line. So I could have done away with it. Again, as I'm saying, I'm nitpicking only because Sean asked that question. I'm saying that. But of course, I enjoyed the whole movie the way it was. But if I had to do something differently, I would have probably cut those scenes slightly.
Oh no, there's no problem with that because I got some stuff as well. So
Okay.
it's just I love those scenes though. So
yeah.
So this for me was just a weird part of the movie. I can't remember the character, but the character he had indigestion and he kept on burping.
Oh yeah.
And it just was like I don't understand what the purpose of that was and why did you write that? It took me out of the film basically. I was like, why keep on doing that? Keeps on burping and you don't need to do that. It's some quirk or something not needed. I would have took that out.
Yeah.
I would have took that out. And the eagle drone.
Yeah.
Eagle drone.
That's what I was gonna say.
But guys, you know what?
It does exist. It does exist, but it doesn't do what that did. And I could tell. I could tell blatantly. So those two things, if they weren't there, perfect. But they are there, so not perfect. Still a good movie. Still a very good movie. But those two things were just weird for me.
But I definitely found the bird eagle drone thing a little annoying as well. The way they used it, like with it flapping, the boy, him looking out the window and that, and I feel like it was flying a bit too far, too long. I think for that type of technology as well. There was a few things, and as I said, you know, coming from a technical background, for me, it's very hard to process that without sort of nitpicking at it. Do you know what I mean? So, for me, that was the one thing. Other than that, like Andre said, fully agree. It was a great film, regardless.
Yep.
So, the final question we have then, since it sounds like we've got a bit of a full house here today where everyone seemed to really like this film. What star rating would you give this film?
Yeah, I'll just give it 4 stars basically out of 5. Like I said, if it didn't have those particular things that took me out of the movie, it's a really solid movie with the acting, writing, directing. So 4 stars out of 5.
I would go ahead and give it 4.5 from my side. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would say the fact that Andre's given it 4 stars, Joyce gave it 4.5. I personally will give it 4 stars. So I'm going to say this one definitely gets 4 stars, which is a very good rating. And you can tell that the efforts were put into the film, which is why we all enjoyed it. Great performances, great scenes, great sets, great cinematography.
Great action, soundtrack.
Yeah, soundtrack. Oh, I'll tell you what, there was a really good tune on it, and I can't remember the name. It was right at the end in the credits. The song's really good, so I really enjoyed it.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. Love that tune.
This is what. Oh, okay. Stop. This is when she, at the end, when she starts flying the helicopter. When he asks Sira to come, so that I think that's when that music starts.
As you can see, we've given it a 4-star rating to URI, which was a really good film. I'm hoping that you guys will let us know your thoughts as well. You have been watching Chatterbox. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to hit us up on Patreon if you would like to support the channel, or donate. You can hit us up on PayPal. Now, I'm Sean, and you've been watching Chatterbox. That was our URI Surgical Strike review. And until the next time, peace and love.
Yes.